Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 4 of What If Naruto Was Neglected with Joker Personality. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Got Special Training as a Child and enjoy that guys, over on Anime King 2. And also I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was a Force of Nature over on Anime King 3, so go ahead, check out that and enjoy guys. And if you're new, yes, I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post What If on every single day. Yes, you heard that correctly, every single day for you guys to enjoy, so go ahead, click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking about to all of you, so yeah. Without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last spot we left off, as Naruto went to meet up with Itachi and he came across Izumi after their mission. As today was her birthday, Naruto was able to save Itachi because he seemed to have forgotten, as he said Itachi's been talking about it the entire day, as Izumi looked rather happy about that. She asked her father if she could go with them, as he told her to go along. After all, who better did he trust to watch over his daughter than these 2 boys? So with that, they made their way to get something to eat. As it was awkward at first, however, Naruto was able to break the awkwardness by speaking to one of them and causing the other to speak back, and by bringing the other into the conversation, so the awkwardness was lifted rather easily. So with that tense awkward silence out of the way, they were able to speak more normally as Naruto watched both of them. Itachi was a person that got Naruto out of his funk. Before he met Itachi, the thoughts that he used to have were dark, however. The way of thinking that Itachi brought to Naruto's life was refreshing and wonderful, as it made him think about something else, about another way to experience himself, another way to live. And it was good. The next day though, as Naruto, Itachi and Izumi collect the kids as they made their way, they went to Ino. As it was her birthday party, the other parents were there as well. Upon arriving there, as Mito brought her friends over to meet Naruto, as Ino was flustered as she saw him, she was blushing greatly. She seemed to have a little crush on him, as she couldn't even meet his gaze. So the moment her father had decided to call her, she had rushed off rather quickly. However, since then things changed. A couple of years passed, as everyone was growing up. As his mother and him and everything start to return to a normal state, however, Naruto killed a few people. Yes, he took care of a few people for his mission as he came back to the village. However, upon returning, his commander told him that the other members were worried as they want him to go have a psychiatrical evaluation. As Naruto agreed, however, he was calm about it. He acted rather calm, but he should not be. As he walked through the streets, people were looking at him and giving him strange looks, because there was a big reason why. However, he still continued to make his way, not really paying them any attention. As he arrived towards Inoichi, but the man refused to do it now, as he believed that Naruto should get some rest and clear his mind and come back a week later. Rest for this week. As Naruto went home and he stared at the ceiling. The reason why people were so caught up was because he had killed Itachi and Izumi. There was rumors that he liked Izumi, so he killed the both of them, because when he killed Itachi, she didn't like him back. However, all of that was false. Itachi had become a missing of this village because Izumi was kidnapped by Orochimaru. The man had made his move, so Itachi went out. Naruto had pleaded with Minato to send him, so Minato decided to send him along. When Naruto arrived there though, he saw Itachi. As Itachi started to attack him, that is when Orochimaru showed up with tied Izumi, as he also brought Mito out as well. His mother was on a training trip with Jiraiya, and the two kids, so Naruto had no idea how they were here. This was very frustrating, but Naruto fought. He fought with everything that he got as him and Itachi clashed. In the end though, Naruto was able to kill him. But Itachi saw Orochimaru slit in Izumi's throat. It was then that Mito started to laugh as it wasn't real Mito. It was a ninja that could mimic anyone's appearance, so flawless that the user had a hard time finding out. As Naruto was shocked as he had just killed Itachi, and when the others arrived they saw the bodies. He had a hard time explaining, but there was many against his speech. Many angered by this because Itachi and Izumi had become the famous couple of the village, and not to mention with Itachi rising in popularity, the Uchihas were also rather pissed off at this. Even Fukaku was angered by this. The situation was not solemn at all. As the more time passed, the more Naruto was being hated, and he was being watched. The council wanted Minato to throw Naruto into a jail cell or either banish him from this village. His mother and siblings did not know about this because they were away, not knowing what was taking place in the village while they were gone, as many things were changed and many things were happening. As Minato was attacked in his office by Naruto, he was shocked when he saw his son. As he couldn't even flash after him, he was just so shocked. As Naruto was at his apartment looking at the ceiling, as he was tense, his body reacted as he slit the Anvu's throat that came in, as it was his commander Hayate. His trainer, he was so shocked and frightened. As the rest of them came in and pinned him down to the ground, that is when Naruto saw the man that mimicked Mito some time ago. As Naruto screamed at them to look, however they did not listen to him as he was shackled. His trial went on for a month, where he was sentenced to prison. His own father gave the statement. As Naruto stood there defeated, some things have him start to break, however it did not completely shatter yet. However, it started to get even worse because the Uchihas were the one in charge of the prison. He was relentlessly beaten, tortured. He was put through actual hell for a long period of time until the day finally came when they cornered him down in the section of the basement that was shut off due to Orochimaru experiments. The water was mixed with several vile, strange chemicals, as Naruto's face was dumped in it as they tried to drown him. And Naruto's mind just broke. He became psychotic, he became sick as he turned insane. Naruto went on to brutally kill all of them in a rather horrific way. And he smiled the entire time. They wanted a monster, fine, they will get one. As Naruto was completely broken. And someone that was truly broken was the person to fear the most because, well, they had nothing to live for. As Naruto smiled, as he was rather happy doing all of this, his mind too far broken to really care about anything else. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch your hearts to play stuff yourself, and we need to be a leap right into this new episode guys. It has been 1 year now since. As we begin on the 3rd floor of the Uchiha Max Security Prison, 3 men. One of them were shackled, with brown hair and dark eyes. The 2 Uchiha guards were pushing him. He seemed to be a prisoner, however he was begging. He was pleading them not to bring him to the location that they were pushing him to. He dropped down to the ground. He tried to hold on to anything, however they yanked him and kept on pushing him forward. The men in their cells that watch chuckled as they threw out false words of encouragement. "Come on, please," he yelled. "Kami, please, please, I beg you," he said, pleading with the guards. However, they dragged him away to the last cell that had 3 empty cells next to it. The man begged to be put into one of those, however they had their orders, as they stuck him right in the center cell, and they shut him in. The man rushed towards a cage as he tried to stop the guard from locking it. "No, please," he begged, as he scrambled against the bars. However, the guard shut it, as he was left there, left to hear nothing but the chatter of the people in the prison, as he did not turn or move. He refused to turn around as fear racked his entire being. From behind him he heard tapping, following the advice that was given to him before he was brought in. He tried not to make a single sound as he shut his mouth. However, the shaking of his lip was allowing the smallest whimper to leave his mouth. He then heard it. The whistle was soft. It kept on going, as his mind was weighing. If he didn't turn around, he would be disrespecting him. But if he did, they have only heard stories what happened. Figuring that he had to face his fears, he turned around. The cell was based like the others. A bunk bed to the side, a toilet over to the corner, a sink against the back wall, tables and chairs bolted down in the center. He heard it once again, as he looked towards his red-headed cellmate, who was shuffling cards. "Hello," the red-haired person said. "It looks like we're cellmates now." The man tried his hardest to shut his mouth, as his lips, his entire being was trembling, as his eyes did not meet the gaze of the redhead. Forcing himself to reply, he whispered out, as he controlled his stammer. "Seems like it," he said. His tone was riddled with so much fear. The redhead's smile spread across his face. "Hey, would you like to be my friend?" Time skip. The council chamber was filled. This was not the first time or the second or the third, since they were discussing the case of Naruto Namikaze. His enraged family brought the case up every month. They were angry about it. Every month they came up with new arguments and questions. As Minato continued to bring the case to the floor, it was his decision when the trials got together after all. There was only a few things they could speak up about, which being a shinobi imprisonment, which was the current issue. Sitting in the room along the table, directly in front of the council was Kushina, Menma, Mito, along with Jiraiya, all there to plead the case or to give a testament. "All I'm saying is it doesn't make sense," Kushina said. "I mean, Naruto claimed that it was a working of 100 transformation Kazan who posed as him. So why was he not searched for when you received this information?" Danzo Shimura was heading the meeting, as Minato was too close to the case to lead this one. That information was not received until the morning after the attack. By that time he would have been nearing the outskirts of Land of Fire. So you just decided not to even entertain the idea that he was not telling the truth. Don't be foolish, of course we did. Namikaze's claim for a possible motives was too ridiculous to be taken. "I agree," said Jiraiya, "but I argue the kid was too emotionally distressed to give a proper, accurate motive." "So you're saying that you have one?" Homura asks. "Actually I do. You see, the death of Itachi Uchiha is linked to this. Kazan posed as his sister to get him to fight Itachi. He was working with Orochimaru at the time." As Danzo rushed to elaborate, "And what is your point, Jiraiya?" "It's Orochimaru," he yelled. "I mean, come on. Do you not know his motives or what he does?" "And what would that motive be?" Fukaku asks. "He wants him. He wants to make him a monster because he saw its potential." Danzo seemed completely unconvinced. "We are not here to base motives off of speculations. Regardless, if we accept your ridiculous guess of intuition, Naruto Namikaze has solidified himself and his position within prison. He has killed the active Konoha shinobi and 28 men, while incarcerated and 4 guards. We argue self-defense, Kushina said instantly. Hayate-san was in Naruto residence unlawfully, with Naruto knowledge, and as a shinobi he was in his right to kill all of them. He even expressed the fact that he killed him by mistake. Before Danzo could argue his point, he continued. Naruto himself was found beaten and chemically tortured by the guards, who found the scene. That means nothing, said Danzo. Inoichi-san, would you please explain your last psychiatric evaluation with the prisoner in question? As everyone turned their gaze towards the man, Inoichi shifted a bit, feeling a bit uneasy about incriminating the son of his friends. My evaluation with Naruto Namikaze was quite informative. He was very on inch, if I was to describe it. His topics bounced around sporadically. His personality shifted completely from when I last spoke to him. Do not beat around the bush, Inoichi. Tell them what you told me. Inoichi cursed the man, as he looked down towards the family. Naruto Namikaze showed heavy signs of a psychopath when we talk. He relayed to me what he wished to do if ever released, describing things along the line of mass murder and inciting wars. Kushina and the others could not believe it. It couldn't be true. What do you mean by signs of a psychopath? Asked Jiraiya. Well, when evaluating someone we begin with basic questions trying to determine their emotional state. From their answers, it is decided if they are in need of a test. Naruto's answers were completely unrelated to the questions that were being asked. So I started asking more hypothetical questions to see how he reacted to them. His answers were circuitous, to say the least. So you mark him insane because he answered your questions indirectly, Jiraiya said. Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. The questions are used to get them ticking, to make them feel like they're not in control. When they feel like they're losing it, they will either act violently or use some other motive to return it to their favor. However, Naruto is quite slick with his words. He led me into a conversation that left himself explaining what he was talking about, as I did not understand. In other words, he shifted the conversation towards a subject that only he knew about, making himself the only person with words on the subject, putting him in control. That doesn't prove anything, Mito yelled out. Big brother Naruto is smart, she said. Yes, he's indeed, Inuichi said, which is why he knew that he could shift the conversation towards his own favor. Aside from the mental battle that we had, his physical tendencies were unbalanced as well. What? Did he shake his leg too fast? Jiraiya asked, as he found all of this ridiculous. No, it was more subtle things. For one, he only blinked once. The family gave him a look, asking if he was serious. Our conversation was 2 hours long. Look, Kushina, I'm terribly sorry for what is happening to your family at the moment. But in my opinion, I have never seen a look like the one that Naruto has in his eyes. He's not the same boy he was when you left. If you continue in your journey to get him released, and you succeed, I fear for all of us. Kushina's expression was downtrodden, as she stared at the table, thinking about his words, as he was trying to demonize her son. What could she say? There's no need to fear, Inuichi, Danzo said. Naruto Namikaze would never leave that prison. Actually, he will, said Fukaku, as everyone looked towards him. This was shocking. Naruto has become too dangerous to keep within the prison. He's responsible for talking several of his previous cellmates and neighbors to commit suicide. It has gone to the point where we had to clear out 6 of the cells next to him. And with the overcrowding state the prison is in lately, you can see how much of a problem that is. In our need of to place a few prisoners in solitary confinement, we have to threaten them of placing them in his cell. Since the death of one of the guards though, the others are afraid to go near him. So where else do you propose we put him, Minato said, finally joining in on the conversation. Fukaku thought it over well. If we decide him a lost cause, he can be sent to Hoshiki Castle, as Minato shook his head. Or he can be moved to the Asylum, in the care of Inuichi. It's a less stressful environment with the same containment tactics. All the cells are isolated and he will receive the proper treatment that he needs. Minato looked down in thought. It was a better option, but if Naruto was a danger to the prisoners, would it be a good idea to stick him in a place where there is more freedom? I will leave the decision up to Inuichi, he said, as he looked towards the man. I have a haunting feeling that I should probably refuse. But I suppose it's for the best, he said with a nod of his head. As Danzo spoke up, for this to be a possibility, there needs to be some restriction. He is still a prisoner. Minato nodded begrudgingly, as he gave the man authority over the case. There will be no interaction between Namikaze and the other occupants. He will not be allowed recreation time because he's not a patient. He's a prisoner, Danzo said. Might I suggest a 2-hour psychiatrical evaluation as well? Total isolation could cause more harm and aggression for someone of Naruto's skills. The 2-hour sessions is a proof. At all possible, get him mentally sane enough to be moved back to the prison. Regarding his skills, they will not be an issue. He has a complex seal blocking off his chakra that was made by the second Hokage himself. It has stood strong for years now, said Danzo. Inuichi nodded. Hold on, said Fukaku. Who will you have undergo his evaluations? Well, I have a staff full of capable psychologists, which were trained by me, personally. They are all highly capable. Fukaku gave him a look that did nothing to settle his nerves. I would advise putting only your best. Preferably yourself, he said, as he gave no other information. Hang on, don't we get to saying this, said Kushina. I'm afraid not, said Danzo. Your argument was pushing for your son's release. That is nuts, and it will never happen. Furthermore, Naruto Namikaze will get no visitors, other than those granted special clearance, because he is still a prisoner of capable offense. He will have the same lack of laws he would have in the prison. He said with finality that enraged Kushina as she clenched her fist tight. That is the final result of this meeting, Hokage-sama, he said. Minato was not pleased as well. If that is all, everyone dismissed, he said. As Kushina glared at Danzo, this is not over, she said. I'm sure, he said. 3 hours later, the Namikaze household was bathed in silence. Mito, Menma, Jiraiya, Kakashi, they sat around the table as they listed the aggressive cooking. As Jiraiya was trying to think of something he could use for the next case, but he was drawing complete blanks. Everything he came up with countered itself. or was invalid because of things that were discussed already. This was extremely important to him and others could tell, although they were likely to believe that all of it was for Konoha, but it was not. He loved the boy, but this was also a chance to get Konoha to search, and even kill his old teammate. He's known Orochimaru for years, and if there's one thing that he knew rather well, he's a very patient person. No matter how long you have to wait, he will see his plans come to fruition, and with a mind like his, there's no telling what those plans could be. Minato walked through the silence, as he expected that. As he greeted the people inside, he hung his coat up. He entered the kitchen as Kushina was chopping vegetables. It was so aggressive that she was cutting into the wooden board. He walked up next to her. We made progress. Progress, she said. What goddamn progress? We got him sent to a house of wackos and sick people. How great! That's not what I meant. We've gotten the back end of a few more clan heads. What good is that now that you put that one-eyed bastard in charge of everything? Look, I had to. Shikaku thought it would be a good idea. He said a few of the clan heads were siding against us, because they thought I was playing favorites. So, I bet if it was one of their kids they would do the same. And yet they go around calling him a thing. She said she split the cutting board in half. Minato walked over as he took the knife away from her. Calm down, he said, calm down. Look, it's not over. We'll bring the case back up next month, and we'll keep on bringing it up until we have him back. We will get him back, I promise. Her body simply slumped against his, as she tried her hardest to keep faith in his words. After a year of doing this, it felt like she couldn't believe him, and with Inuichi's statement, she knew the situation got a lot harder. Time skip 3 days later. 4 armed Uchiha guards, as well as Fukaku, walked down the halls of the prison to the last cell, as everyone was silent as they walked, one of them holding a load of equipment that jingled with every step. As they arrived to the last cell, looking inside they saw a sight that was rather disturbing. As Naruto sat on the chair facing them, his cellmate was beating his head into the wall, as blood was leaking down from his forehead. Kiryu, get him and take him to the infirmary, said Fukaku, as the man opened the cell. As Naruto stared at Fukaku in amusement. Ah, Fukaku-sama. It's been a while, he said. A small smile on his lips as he looked into the eyes of the Uchiha leader. The look was rather unsettling. Fukaku and the others stepped in the cell. The one with the equipment got behind Naruto as he pulled him to his feet. You're being moved to the asylum. You have become too dangerous to remain in this prison. While there, you will have the same lack of rights that you have here. As he threw him a set of white clothes to further show that this was no joke. You think I'm crazy, said Naruto. As he looked over the clothing, what I think is of no importance, said Fukaku. Our expert has deemed you a certified psychopath. Put them on. I prefer orange, said Naruto. I don't care, said Fukaku. As Naruto chuckled. He removed the clothing that he was wearing and slipped into the white clothing. When he finished, his arms were bound behind his back, his feet shackled together. An expert, huh? So Inuichi-san believed I'm crazy. Before he could say anything else, a muzzle was placed over his mouth, so that he could not speak. Aside from that, your actions within my facility have been a hindrance to my staff and the function of my prison. You will be moved to the asylum where you will have no contact with the patients or no releasement time. In addition, you will attend a 2-hour long session with a psychologist every day. He couldn't see, but he knew that the redhead was smiling. The 2 Uchihas started ushering him out the cell and down the hall. On the way, he glared at all the men in the cell, his eyes finding each and every one of them. They found the white clothing fitting. He was indeed crazy. Fukaku was shocked that these men, how much fear he was able to instill inside of them. These men have done some horrendous crime, and yet, the mere sight of this person scared them to their very being. Naruto was like a monster to these monsters, and that ensured the case that he should never be allowed to roam free. As he was marched through the woods, it was a mile outside the backwoods of the village. Naruto did not struggle or try to do anything, he just walked. As he kept on looking towards the staff that was there and smiling at them, as he looked deep within their eyes, Inuichi was already at the door with 2 of his biggest staff members take over. As Naruto looked deep within the man's eyes, as he smiled, just watching Inuichi, the Uchiha guards handed him off as Fukaku greeted Inuichi. Shaking the man's hands, he gave parting words. Best of luck, Inuichi, he said. Inuichi exhaled as he nodded. As he took the lead, Naruto glanced around. The place was all white. It was a new experience in contrast to the grey walls that he's been used to for the past year now, if you might say. Hallway after hallway, the white was really intense. As they climbed up 3 flights of steps, before they stepped back into a left hall. As Naruto heard chatter, as he passed by the recreational center, as he saw a bunch of patients in white clothing, he was pushed along until he could no longer see them as he saw people being led into their rooms. He received looks of fear from few of the ward employees. Finally, at the end of the hall was a single room, marked with his name. Inoichi pulled out his keys as he opened the metal door. As Inoichi pulled out a syringe, as he stuck the needle into Naruto's neck. As Naruto's body slumped over, the two guards placed Naruto down. As Inoichi pulled out the keys that Fukaku gave him as he unshackled Naruto. When he finished that, another of his employees brought in a straitjacket that he placed tightly on Naruto. "Will that be all, Dr. Yamanaka?" asked one of the workers. "Yes, that is all. Return to your task." It always pained to see someone that he knew since they were children end up in his place. It happened all too often, as he sighed. The next day, as Naruto sat at the table, his straitjacket had chains that connect onto the floor. As he looked up towards the light, he was sat down by the workers, and he was told to wait until his session began. Eventually, Inoichi walked in, as he had a cup of coffee and a folder, as he strolled over casually, not looking Naruto's way yet. As he sat his stuff down and looked towards the blonde, as Naruto's gaze was already on him, looking deeply at him, with a small smile on his lip as always. Inoichi pulled a pen from his pocket, as he also pulled a small notepad as well. "Good morning, Naruto," he said. "I will be handling your psychiatrical sessions for the time being. I would like to start out by asking you some simple questions." "I believe that we already did this, Inoichi-san," said Naruto, amusement in his tone. "Don't tell me you have to re-evaluate me now." Inoichi shook his head. "These are different questions. Now, do you know what you're doing here?" "Well, an expert has deemed me clinically insane." Inoichi did not react to his statement. "It's a bit more complicated than that. Naruto, I'm not here to treat you like a criminal, okay? I've been on your side since before your trial. I want to help you." As Naruto looked thoughtful, "If only I could believe you," he said. "And why can't you?" asked Inoichi. "Well, you told me not to." Inoichi was confused as he never said that. "Oh, come on," said Naruto. "I know it only made it back to paper, but still." Inoichi was confused as hell. This is what he meant when he said that Naruto topics will bounce around. Now it seems like he was on a completely different subject altogether. Until Naruto explained further though, the biggest sin of a man is his undoubtful belief in his enemy words. It is a psychosomatic disadvantage of a human being who have seen enough tragedy to have faith in the things that he hears a promise at the end. If he is told that there is an end to a war, it doesn't matter where the information comes from or who it comes from. He will believe it without question. However, a shinobi duty is to resist such an urge. Inoichi Yamanaka, Psychological Warfare. Inoichi's eyes widened when he realized, "You read my book." "I did." "A true masterpiece it was." "Well, thank you. But I don't believe that applied to this situation. We're not at war, aren't we?" said Naruto. "Call it what you will, but this is war. Two sides facing off against one another to gain that upper hand, or maintain it. That is the goal here, right? I mean, your expert evaluation of me is that I'm a psychopath. Someone that enjoys being in control." Inoichi started to feel a bit skittish, however. His years of doing this kept his composure. It felt like Naruto was a few steps ahead of him though. "Yes, but I'm not here to compete with you," he said. "Oh, but you are. You're here for that just reason. You see, this is the game of ours. Have the objective of control at the end. We're in your facility, you control all things within. The patients, the worker, the lights and everything else. Am I correct?" Inoichi nodded. "Yeah, well, as hard as you may try to hide it, I can tell. I threaten you." Inoichi chuckled, as a way to say that Naruto's statement was false. However, on the inside he was feeling a bit threatened. "No, I do," said Naruto. Inoichi leaned back with a forced grin on his face. "And how is that?" he said. "Well, physically, you are no match for me. All those years of war and you could not beat me if you left me alone in this straitjacket. You know this, so you have to come up with some other way of besting me. You want to show your dominance by showing something that only a handful of men has ever achieved, which you are the master at: mental prowess. Over the years you have grown immensely strong in that degree. You are the head of this facility after all. But now you're starting to worry, because I'm besting you at that as well. Is that not the definition of war? Gaining the tactical advantage over your enemy in all the aspects of the fight, no matter what area. As I'm sure that you're aware, You are not the first man to start war in a mental stance. Of course, Inuichi said. Do you know of Wakata Fuji? Inuichi wants to say yes, however he knew the mental corners that you can be backed into if you lie to someone like Naruto. So he shook his head no. Well, he was a general of Kiri. During the Second Great Shinobi War, he wrote a book titled, It's a Mind Game. What the book basically talks about is the mental strain of a man's mind when face to face with a war. Someone like yours. He explained that it was a process, a slow, driving process. Much like when someone is working to try to mold a patient. You see, when war begins, the first step is to show your dominance. To show the opposite side that you're not too timid to attack. That was your intention as you step foot in here today. You may not have known it, but it was. Your mind planned it out without even you thinking about it. It's actually a good example of a good guy, bad guy complex actually. How is that exactly? Inuichi said. Wow, you don't see it, do you? Well, let me explain. You woke up this morning. You thought about this exact moment. In anticipation, your mind simplified everything for you. There are two men here, one good, one bad. In your mind, you went over various scenarios as you planned it out, how you wanted things to go. From the stories that you heard, you expected me to be more aggressive and ongoing. Otherwise, you wouldn't have secured me with all these chains. I mean, they're a bit much. In doing so, you made a plan in your mind to make it clear who was in charge here. You're drawing this assumption from thin air, Inuichi said. Oh, but I'm not, you see. From the very first question you meant to determine my intelligence and demean it. Why am I here, you ask? You wanted me to have a reason. Answer to that question that you can break apart and find out the reason why I think I'm here. Why I believe I'm sitting here in this place with you. How my mind is running. Then you lay a sheet of manipulation over it at the top to make it seem like you're on my side. To make me trust you, open up to you. A tactic that has worked on many of your patients, I'm sure. But still, it is too small for a war of this level. And you know what they say about war. You never know who's winning until the end. Do you think you're winning? Inuichi asks. As Naruto chuckled ominously. Oh, it is fear from the end. As Naruto leaned back, Inuichi saw Naruto in a completely different light. From their last conversation, he thought that Naruto was psychologically unhinged. But from this conversation, he got a different vibes. Psychotic, yes, but unhinged, no. And that was much more worse. Time skip. 4 years later. Robbing his temple, Minato signed another document. His old age started to weigh him down after these years, adding the drama of the constant arguments he has been involved in. He was exhausted. 4 years was all it took to amaze him and disappoint him at the same time. Amazement coming from his two youngest children as they climbed the ranks bit by bit, owning up to their titles. The both of them turned 18 a few months ago. It was like the time just swept by so quickly. Years of fighting alongside their brother Freedom with their mother had eaten up their youth. Oh yes, Naruto was still locked within the asylum, with no way of getting out. That was a bitter pill for all of them to swallow. 2 years ago they were nearing a breaking point, as the council members were considering releasing the blonde. However, the veteran psychiatrical experts that Inuichi had placed to assess Naruto, well, he committed suicide at his home the next day after he had a talk with Naruto. The man's suicide note said that Naruto was the most insane person that he has ever came in contact with, and if he was to be released, he would cause more destruction than it's worth. So the council voted against it, and Naruto was fit, well, as a complete psychopath that should never be released, no matter what. The family was unhappy with the news, but the one took it the hardest was Kushina. As the council gave her an ultimatum, she agreed that she would not bring the trial up again if she got to see him one last time, as she had went and speak to her son the next morning. However, Inuichi told her that he was not taking visitors. She demanded that the council has agreed to this. However, Inuichi said that Naruto didn't want to see her. At that moment, she knew that she was a failure as a mother. She linked his reason to the neglect that they put him through all those years ago, convincing himself that he was suppressing his emotions, but in truth, he truly hated them. She spiraled into a great depression that consumed her life for about a year. It was only the previous year that she was able to pull herself back together and stand on her feet due to their growing family. Menma, now an Anbu operative, realized down the line how precious life was. After losing people close to him, he realized how short life could be. So he and his girlfriend, Sakura Haruno, decided they want to be together forever. For as long as a forever can be, at least. So they married at the age of 17. It was what was needed to pull Kushina out of her rut. Just a little. And then, the news of her pregnancy came. That brought her out of her depression, even more. And then the official news of the relationship between Sasuke Uchiha and Mito Namikaze came. She couldn't be involved in her first child life. However, she still had two that was moving on with their life. Her heart stung every time she thought of Naruto. She knew that he was as good as gone now, and she has no one to blame but herself. But if she dwelled on the past, she would miss out on the future. After 4 long years, things was finally looking up back for them, as Minato was happy to see her getting back on her feet. However, as a father as well, he thought that he failed Naruto big time. Had he been there to guide him from the beginning, maybe Naruto progress would be a bit slower, but he would have still had enough time to be a kid. Maybe if that happened, you would have never had that run-in with the Sanin, and they would still be a perfect family. At this point, he was living off those so-called what-if fantasies. Unlike Kushina, Minato could hide his pain a lot better. Of course, he had a lot of piles of work to distract him as well. However, when you appear to be strong, no one tried to help you. No one cared to ask him how he felt about losing a son. During the trials, he was told that he could not have any say because his word carried too much weight. More than once, he had the thought of saying screw it and demanding Naruto release. However, as a Hokage in time of peace, he knew doing that would result in problems for the village. He had to think as a Kage as well, as he had the village and the rest of his family to think about as well. Konoha enemies would jump to destroy them at any time if they show any weakness, so he had to sit by and watch the trial move on. Now he was fulfilling his duty as a future grandfather, a husband, a father for 2 children, and as a Hokage. Naruto would just be another painful memory he had every time he shut his eyes. His greatest regret in life and his most heartbroken failure. In time, he hoped he can see him once again before his time was up, but he really doubted that. With his status as Hokage, he knew that he could see Naruto. However, Inuichi said that he refused to see anyone. He threatened violence if he was forced. It was a slap to the face and he couldn't understand why. But if Naruto was happier living in solitude, he was not going to force him. It still hurt like hell though, as he leaned back in his chair. As he glanced towards his window, he needed to retire. Everyone was settling down. Shikaku, Inuichi, even Fukaku was passing the strings down to Sasuke. But Menma wasn't ready yet. He had just made it to Anbu last year, so he was still learning how to follow orders. He was a long ways away. Maybe Kakashi. He chuckled as he could see him protesting. As he got to his feet, Rick left the office to go home and meet up with his wife, to put his mind at ease. Time skip at the asylum. Ino Yamanaka, the 18-year-old doctor, a chip off the block of her father, stood at the front desk as she requests her other patient. However, the man behind the desk told her there was no more. They were all booked. There is no way, she said. I am truly sorry, Yamanaka, but they were all cleaned out this morning. Ibiki-san made sure that they were all dealt with for the coming month. Yeah, he said he would save one for me. The man shrugged. There was no clipboard left. This was her second week and it was already being cut short. Last week was her first, however it got cut short because of a mission that needed her special abilities. This had been her goal for years. Her father would never let her come because he said it was not her time to be there. He would never talk about the cases because that would violate the doctor confidentiality rule with the patients. However, now that she was here, she was determined to prove herself as an adequate psychologist. Inuichi tried to keep her awake, telling her that she was too delicate to deal with those crazy people that was locked away. At first, she was inclined to believe him. However, he had to go and say that she would be better off working the flower shop, picking daisies and roses and whatnot. And that was not something that you say to Ino Yamanaka. How dare he demean her prowess like that? She told him she was going to be one, whether he helped or not. As after a few weeks, it turned into her new passion. She wanted to help these people that were in there for various reasons. It's been 2 weeks since she received her official status as a psychiatrical doctor, and she has yet to have a true case. Well, a real case. She had 2 last week that were too easy, as she thought that the both of them were faking the entire time. She wanted something to challenge her, something to push her to her very... Wait, what's that? As she noticed a clipboard at the back, the man turned towards it. He was unsure who this belonged to as well, as he was not sure why it was put in the back room like that. What is it? Ino said. It's an older case, man. Look at this rap sheet. Hey, I think your father worked on this one. Guess he had no luck either. Ino took the clipboard as she looked towards the section that he was talking about. There were a ton of people that she knew, from her father even to uncle. However, the last name caught her attention though. Dr. Yeager, who committed suicide 2 years ago, mean that this was his last case. The case that pushed him over the edge. She glanced up towards the name, her heart dropped as she read it. Naruto Namikaze. Maybe he wasn't back for a reason, the man said as he reached to grab it. She pulled away though. No. She yelled a bit louder than she expected to. No. I'll take care of it, she said. I'll take the case. As she scribbled her signature down beneath. Dr. Yeager. Time skip. Ino left the asylum. As she racked her brain, she ignored the cat calls and greetings that she got on a daily basis now. Her brain was trying to work overtime. She knew that Mito brother got locked up a few years ago, but why was he in the asylum? Her one and only crush of all these years was in the madhouse. And why was he the worst patient there? Her childhood crush died off a long time ago. She just finds it strange though that he was there. And he's been the worst patient. Her dad had never failed before, yet he failed on this one. And Ibiki wasn't even a psychologist. Why have an interrogator try to help a patient that her father could not help? That was just strange. Same with Anko, she was a interrogator. It made absolutely no sense. It was like they were trying to subdue him into Sante or something. With a goal in mind, she vowed to get answers from her father when she went over for dinner tonight. Ino! Hey, Ino! As she turned to see a very pregnant Sakura at the door of the cafe. As she came over, hey, what are you doing out and about, she said. I'm just having tea with Tenten, as he walked in and joined the girl. Oh hey Ino, said Tenten as she stirred her coffee. Hey Tenten, it's been a while. That's for sure, said Sakura. Wow, said Ino, you're getting so big. How much months are you, she said. Sakura smiled, she took this as a compliment. 6 months already. I can just feel her kicking all day and night. As Ino reached over and touched her stomach as well. I am not looking forward to that, said Tenten. Aw, you and Neji are the planning, Sakura asked, mocking her a bit. What? Tenten said, her eyes shot and open wide. No, we're just, Ino and Sakura started to laugh a bit at her misfortune. As the girl blushed. Oh, Tenten, Ino said. I really miss you guys. Well, you're the one that has been ducking out on everyone. Always study or taking missions, Sakura said. Yeah, weren't you going for your psychiatric license or something? How did that go, Tenten said. As Ino pulled her badge from her pouch. Read it and weep, she said. Dr. Ino. Page and Dr. Ino, Sakura mocked. I know, I'm amazing, Ino said. That's really cool, so, what, you can like tell what a person is thinking, just by their body language and speech patterns? Asked Tenten. Well, it's a bit more complicated, but yeah, something like that. That really is cool. Well, it's amazing. Now you're a double threat. Brains and beauty, all in one package. Well, she said, flaunting her hair. Have I ever been anything less, she said. As the two girls looked at her. Well, screw you both, she said, as they started to laugh. They got drinks, as Tenten broke silence. Seriously, Ino. You should get yourself a man, she said. Ino gave her a weird look. Wonder where this conversation came from. I think I'm fine for now. She's right, Ino. We're 18. Most people in our profession don't make it this far. We're all very lucky. You shouldn't waste the opportunity. I understand that. God, you sound like my mother. I'm just not ready for that kind of commitment right now. Tenten smirked. What's wrong? Little princess can't get a date, she said. Please. I could have any guy I want. The problem is I don't want any of them here. Why not? There's some really cute guys in Konoha nowadays. Oh yes, tons of cute guys who just expect me to be some blonde bimbo who doesn't really know anything. Ah, so they think you're dumb. That's why you were doing the doctor thing. What? No. I'm just saying. Every guy I meet tried to treat me like a pretty face. Like I'm not allowed to work. In fear of damaging perfection. That was the actual words from the guy I tried to date recently. Well, it just seemed like he was trying to be nice, Sakura said in sympathy. Ino snorted. Well, after that he said, if you were my wife, you would never go out in the field again. Pretty girls like you out there don't last too long. Ah yeah, that's a big jerk, said Tenten. Kano has a lot of guys like that, but we also have guys that are really sweet as well. Sakura smiled, and I've got the best one, she said as she thought about Menma. Okay, Sakura, you got the Prince of Konoha. We get it. For the rest of us it's hard. Well, not me, of course. I got my Neji. Ino, said Tenten. Jeez. Thanks, Tenten, said Ino. Anytime, Tenten said, even though she knew the girl was being sarcastic. Don't worry, Ino, you will fall in love with one of your co-workers, who will see how smart and beautiful you are. That would be wonderful, said Ino with a smile. Time skip. His white shirt was over to the side, as he was doing push-ups. The sweat glistening off of him, as he was in the 100th mark by now. As his mind was filled with thoughts, he had no idea how long he's been in this place. His last sessions was years ago. He hadn't seen another human being since then. The most he got was when a guard came by and pushed the food in the slot. Other than that, isolation was his life. The walls of white that surrounded him had driven him crazy a long time ago. He had tried all he could to escape this place, but it was impossible, with him being in his room all the time every day. His last session was the time he tried to escape when he tried to get the help of Dr. Yeager. But the man was too weak-minded for him to manipulate. He pushed too hard and fast and he lost him. That was his last chance and he regretted his urgency. Naruto was certain at this point he would die in this room. He would die as he lived, alone. The world was truly intent on screwing him over until the very end. His whole life had been a setup and this isolation was the final punchline. A cruel, wicked punchline. A punchline that he would fight though. He would fight it until the very end. He wasn't ready to die yet. He had a lot of things to do. Many things. Stopping his workout routine, he laid on his mat. As he glanced up towards the ceiling. A task that he's done so many times. It's rather unbearable. When you're alone all the time, you learn a lot about yourself and what you want to do. He didn't want to leave so that he could rejoin his family, no. He was too far gone for that. He didn't want revenge for the people that put him in there. No, that was not his main goal. Not his father, not the Uchiha Council, not Orochimaru. It was life. Life that screwed him over. So he was gonna turn back his hatred towards life. And anyone that got in his path, he was gonna cut them down. Be it his old friends or family, he was gonna slaughter them all. He had a goal, a mission. No longer was he a soldier of the hidden leaf. As he would get the people to see that the world that he lived in was nothing but a sick, twisted illusion. Everyone was quick to demonize him when he was at his worst. So he would return the favor and he wanted to see how they react when they were at theirs. He would strip them, he would take away everything, he would bring forward suffer and chaos like they'd never seen before. Not just the people in his village, everything, everyone. And then he would see how they react. However, patience was the key. Patience, he had to be patient. He still had time to spare. Meanwhile, at dinner table, Ino twiddled her chopsticks around the plate that her mother, Carrie, had prepared for her. Her mother was talking about some event that happened today at the flower shop. Ino was lost in her first true session that will take place tomorrow morning. It was nerve-wracking as she thought about it. What if she failed? What if she was not able to help him? Would that make her a failure? If her own father could not do it, how could she? Damn it, she was already coming up with excuses about why she would fail. That wasn't a good sign at all. She would go into this with all the professional and confidence she had. She would do this, she would not go back. Still, it couldn't have been a worse person though. Naruto Namikaze. He had been the first and only person that she had a genuine crush on. Sure, she fawned over Sasuke in the past when he was the guy that every girl wanted, but that was just her younger self attempt at maintaining popularity. As everyone knew that staying in the line was the best thing. Because when you step out of that line, you were seen as an outcast. Like you were doing something wrong. That is why she became good friends with Menman Mito, because their popularity transport everything over the village. They were love. The love transport from almost everywhere. And being good friends with them meant that you were loved as well. That is what her reason when she was younger, however that was a lie. It was a boy that she had saw and fallen in love with. She was only 5 though. 5 years old as she saw him climb up the tree and rescue her cat. A cliché of course, but she was only 5 and it was the most mind-blowing thing that she ever saw. She didn't even ask him to. When she went to find help, she saw him walking the tree with no hands. He brought the cat down and just brought it down without her even acknowledging or saying him to bring it down. He was just kind, sweet, as she had looked at him with stars in her eyes. At that moment her crush sprang to life, even though she had never spoken to him. But she did see him walking around when she went out with her mother. He never noticed her because he was not interested in 5-year-olds. Meeting him at her 10th birthday party was the best day of her life. She was so innocent back then. Ino dear, her mother spoke up. Are you alright? Are you not liking the food, she asked. No, it's not that, mother. I have something on my mind. You okay, Ino, she asked. I was just thinking, she said. Oh? Her mother said that smile. Was it about a boy? No, Mom, she said. What boy? Inuichi asked. There is no boy. Your wife is just drunk, she said. 2 glasses. I only had 2, her mother said. As Inuichi simply chuckled with a grin. Too many, he said, as the both of them chuckled, as she sent him a soft, playful glare, as she went to the kitchen to fetch dessert. So, will there ever be a boy, he asked. Hopefully. Huh? Why, she said. Well, I mean, you don't want to wait too long, you know. Dad, are you saying that I need to get a boyfriend, she said. No, of course not, he said. I'm not saying that you need one. I'm just saying, if you wait too long, it might be too late. God, I'm getting this talk from you as well. At that moment, her mother came in with the desserts. I rather focus on my profession than anything else right now. Are you guys talking about your new patient? Her mother asked. Damn it, Ino thought. She was hoping to wait a bit later before she told her dad. New patient? Jeez. So quick, he said. Aren't you moving a bit fast? Are you trying to break a record or something? As he chuckled a bit, so. Who is it? Ino paused. Inuichi noticed the subtle movements of her hand. Who is it? He asked. It's Naruto Namikaze. The room went completely silent, as Inuichi's gaze snapped so hard on her that it kind of frightened her a bit. As his gaze did not move, he just looked at her, perfect eye contact. Carrie was shocked as well as she placed on dessert. Worry started to rise up in her stomach. Dad, I know what you know. Dad, no. Look, I know. Ino. Fine, another patient. Dad. There's no other No, he said once again. Carrie tried to calm him down. However, she knew how stubborn the both of them could be. What the hell do you mean no, said Ino. I know in hell, he said. I can do this. You don't know. You don't know what the hell you're doing, he said. Yes, I have my license. No, Ino, you're not doing this. Yes, I am. I said no, he shouted. They were shocked as he raised his voice so high that he's never did before. Look, he said, sitting back down. He's not a regular patient, okay? He's far from someone you can handle. But Dad, Ino, he said to her, his tone raised once again. Listen to me. You do not know what you're doing with this person. He's out of your league completely, he said. As Ino folded her arms across her chest. Can I talk now, she said. As he did not say anything, I'm a grown woman. I'm going to do this because I know I can help him. Ino, you're right. You are a grown woman. And I have no authority over you. But as your father, I'm begging you. Please, do not do this. Ino's heart was breaking bit by bit as he spoke. As she didn't know why though, but she felt like she had to do this. She needed to do this. A feeling that told her if she did not do this, she would regret it for the rest of her life. Even though it didn't break his heart right now. When he cured the Namikaze, she knew that he would understand. Dad, I know you won't understand right now, but I have to do this. He literally had tears in his eyes as she felt her heart breaking seeing her father like this. As he knew that she was not going to change her mind. He got up and started to walk away. His wife called out to him, but he did not answer, he just walked. As Ino's eyes started to water. It's alright. Your father is just worried about you. It's gonna be okay, she said, as Ino sniffled as she wiped away her tears. He just needs some time, okay? As Ino blinked away the tears, seeing her father left the house. As she was worried. But she had to do this. She just had to. However, she had no idea what she was getting into. And she was going to have her meeting tomorrow with Naruto Namikaze. But guys, let me end some so right here. If you want to see the next part, then do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell in case I say post. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.